parole à Alicia Bosensera, qui est l'épouse de Tundu Lisu. Vous l'avez cité dans votre intervention. Je vous donne la parole, chère madame, pour 4 minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the EU Parliament Subcommittee on Human Rights, thank you for the opportunity to address you today. I'm here to express my views about my family experiences. However, I have chosen to focus instead on one family member, my husband, Tundu Lisu. Tundu Lisu is the chairman of Chadema, Tanzania's largest opposition political party. Tundu is held in remand at the Ukonga prison in the outskirts of Dar es Salaam since 9th April of last year, falsely charged with treason for merely calling for reforms to ensure free and fair elections in Tanzania. If found guilty, he would be sentenced to death. In the few minutes that I have with you today, I want to underscore the many years of abuses Tundu has endured in his fight for the rule of law, democracy, human rights, and a government that is accountable to its citizens. I hope you will agree with me that those who fight for the rule of law, human rights, and democracy in Tanzania, as in other countries, need concrete assistance and support from the international community, because these are people who work peacefully to promote and protect universally recognized human rights. Tundu, for 3 decades, worked for people-centered peaceful reforms in Tanzania with his master's degree in law. He became a senior advocate, a former president of the Tanzanian Bar, a former member of parliament for Singida East for nearly 10 years, a former vice chairman of Chadema, and presently the chairman of Chadema. His commitment to public service is no doubt unquestionable. Tundu's entire adult life has been dedicated to improving broken systems and championing progressive change. He has tirelessly fought for legal rights and public policies for the underrepresented and the general public at large. In 2017, his vocal opposition in Parliament, assassination attempt. On 7 September 2017, as Tundu pulled into his driveway of his parliamentary residence in Dodoma, 2 gunmen followed him, fired 36 shots into his vehicle, and 16 of which hit his body. He was stabilized in Dodoma, airlifted to Nairobi, and then later relocated here in Belgium, where he received treatment for 3 years. To date, I do recall how one day while in Nairobi, I was told to park and leave a premise which was less than 500 meters from the hospital, because some social alarm had been raised to the effect that a person believed to have been an abductor had checked into the premise that I was staying. I knew fear then, as I have never known fear. To support, with the support of individuals and other organizations, we were able to leave and safely come here. In 2020, Tundu, being hopeful, he returned to Tanzania and ran for the presidential elections as Chadema party's candidate. But then soon after the election, again, we had to leave and come here because of security concerns. In 2023, Tundu decided to return to Tanzania and continue the fight for democracy, human rights, and accountability of those in powers, because he believed that Samia Suluhu government was serious when it said things were going to be different under her regime. However, this was not the case. He was arrested several times, and it was not the case. He was arrested several times, and in January of last year, he was elected the chairperson of the of Chadema, and a few weeks later, on April 9th, he was arrested, transported overnight, a distance of about 1,000 kilometers from the southern part of Tanzania. And the next day, he was taken to court and charged for treason and other cybercrime offenses. The case took a very long time to start, but the trial eventually started in September. The trial has been going on at a rather snail pace. There's been several adjournments, some of them without due reasons, and as we speak, he has not been in court for any substantive hearing since February. And we are told that the case will continue again on the 3rd of July, and that on the 6th of July, the Court of Appeal will make a ruling in association to orders that were made in the High Court, against which the Director of Public Prosecution has appealed. So that's where one prison. Yes, they say he has not been sentenced. They say he's not in prison. Tundu Lisu is in prison. He's in remand prison. And in Tanzania, there is a very fine line between somebody who is in a remand center or in a remand prison and somebody who's actually serving a sentence. The conditions are not substantially different. Tundu has been denied his fundamental rights to having confidential consultation with his lawyers, to meeting friends, and sometimes even to meeting some family members. So, and these are very fundamental rights that are not being observed in Tanzania. Now, I ask myself, if the leader of the opposition party in Tanzania can be treated this way, how about the many thousands of people being held in custody all over the country? How are they being treated? So this is what the families of those detained and arrested go through in Tanzania.
Merci. Oh. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Je pense que le message a été entendu. Des questions vont peut-être avoir réponse. Et je vais donner maintenant la parole à Sikula Onyala, en ligne, chercheur principal chez Amnesty International pour l'Afrique de l'Est et du Sud.